Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Piyush. Most of you are already aware about the 10 weeks of CloudOps challenge that's been going on. And as part of the week 1 challenge, the task that was given was this. We had to host a static website on either of the cloud provider, AWS or Azure or GCP, and use a storage account for the hosting, content delivery network for edge caching, and had to enable HTTPS to make it secure. Plus, we had to implement CI/CD using any CI/CD tool. And congratulations to those who have completed the challenge successfully. For those of you that are new to cloud or DevOps and couldn't complete it, do not worry. In this video, I'm going to show you step-by-step process of how to achieve all these tasks. So just be with me for a few minutes and you can pause the video whenever you feel like and you can follow along with me. So without any further ado, let's start the demo. All right, so this is what we will be doing. Let's say you have a user who wants to access your website. So that user will hit your DNS in the web browser, and there'll be a DNS service that will be accessed on the backend. In my case, it is Namecheap. So this is the DNS service that I'm using. Then that DNS service will have a CNAME record, which will redirect the DNS to your CloudFront distribution. So our CloudFront is a CDN service that you are using, CloudFront, and then the CloudFront will be serving the static content from the S3 bucket. So this is your S3 bucket that has your index.html, error.html, all those static content and images, videos, etc. And this S3 bucket will be accessed only from the CloudFront using OAI, Origin Access Identity, which is a secure method to access the bucket, and user cannot directly access the S3 bucket. This is not permitted, and this is not a secure practice. And we will also be using ACM in front of CloudFront to make this connection secure so that user will be able to access the website over HTTPS. Right? So the services that we are using over here is a DNS service such as Namecheap, Route 53, or GoDaddy, a content delivery network such as CloudFront, certificate manager such as ACM, S3 bucket to host the website content, and so on. Now, once these steps are completed, the next step would be to automate the complete process. That means whenever a developer checks in the code, it should be automatically deployed to S3 bucket. So to do that, let's say the code is hosted on a GitHub repository over here, GitHub, and your developer, whenever the developer do the code check-in, it should automatically trigger a code pipeline which resides inside AWS. And this code pipeline will then deploy the files to S3 bucket over here. So let's see how it's done. So I have logged into my AWS console and I'm going to go ahead and create an S3 bucket. I can click over here and then click over here which says create bucket. Now over here, give it a name. Make sure the name is same as your static website domain name. So I'm using a custom domain here. So it should be www.techtutorialswithpiyush.com, and AWS region, I'll just keep it default region, which is US East 1, and ACL is disabled. Let's keep the default settings. And here it says block all public access. So this is really important. Do not uncheck this because that will make your bucket publicly accessible, which is what we don't want to do that. Then you must be thinking, how do we serve the content from S3 if the bucket is not public? Well, we will be serving it through CloudFront. I'm going to show you later on after this step, but make sure this step is the default setting. That means public access is blocked on this bucket, right? And scroll down and keep everything the default settings and hit create bucket. So it will take even fraction of setting and your bucket will be created. And it says the bucket and objects are not public, which is what we want. Now go inside the bucket, click over here and go to properties, the second tab over here. Now scroll down to the very last section where it says static website hosting. Go to the right and click on edit and then hit enable to enable hosting a static website, and then go down, enter your index document, index.html, and your error document, error.html. Go down and hit save changes. Now go to object section over here and upload your static website. Click upload, add files. Now I have these two pages, index.html and style.css. This is what I'm going to use. So this is pretty basic website, nothing fancy. Just wanted to show the other features of it, like how do we host it, how do we secure it. So that's why I kept it to the minimum, and just scroll down, verify everything and hit upload. All right, so hit close and go to properties again. Go to the last section where it says, so this is your bucket endpoint on the URL where bucket will be accessible. If you hit copy and paste it in your browser, this should show you permission denied, which is what it is right now because we have disabled the public access. So we are good till now. Now go ahead again to your AWS console and search for CloudFront, because now we will be creating a CloudFront origin, right? And create a CloudFront distribution. Now choose origin domain. Your bucket should be auto-populated over here. Select your endpoint URL and ignore this error warning. Now this is the name of your origin, which is again auto-populated with the bucket endpoint name. Over here, your origin access is public, origin access control setting, or legacy access identities. So this is what we need so that we could enable the access from origin access identity, right? And hit over here on the right side, which says create new OAI, origin access identity, and it will create a new one for you. Now this identity will be kind of a user that has access to your bucket, and your bucket would not be accessible from anywhere else. So this is the important step, and this is why we are creating this access identity. Now this should be enabled in your bucket policy as well, so that your bucket would allow access to this OAI. So hit over here where it says yes, update the bucket policy, and scroll down, keep these settings as default, everything as default. Over here, select redirect HTTP to HTTPS because we don't want HTTP access. Then select the HTTP method as per your preference. Let's keep it the third one for now. Okay, so this is again the default settings, caching optimize, which is recommended for S3. Let's keep it that way and go down. Okay, now it says use all edge protection or only for some particular region. So let's keep it default for now because we would want our website to be accessible all over the world with the lowest latency possible. So let's keep it that way. Add a alternate domain name. Let's keep tutorials with Piyush.com. Now go down, and now we want our traffic to be encrypted over HTTPS. So that's why we need to install a custom SSL certificate as well. We don't have anything created yet. So hit over here which says request certificate, and it will open a new window. Before that, you must read this message over here which says the certificate must be in US East, North Virginia region, US East 1. So that is really important. Otherwise, your certificate will not work. So make sure you provision your certificate in this region only, right? So let me just open this in new tab, request certificate. Now there are two options, request public and private certificate. We don't have any CS available. So let's go ahead with the default option, public certificate. Hit next. Now enter your fully qualified domain name over here. I'll just enter star.tech with Piyush.com, and validation method, let's keep it DNS. I'll show you how you can do the DNS validation as well. So DNS validation is a step that makes sure that you own the domain and you are not putting someone else's domain. So you should be authorized to modify the DNS configuration. To do that, I'll show you how you can do that. And hit request. And we can hit refresh over here. Now it will populate, it will show you pending validation because we haven't started the validation yet. And if you hit over here, is pending validation, and it will populate a CNAME and CNAME value for you. So this CNAME value, using this, you can put that in your DNS, whichever DNS you are using, like Route 53, Cloudflare, or Namecheap, GoDaddy, anything, and then it will validate your DNS. So as I'm using Namecheap, so I'll go ahead in my Namecheap window over here. This is my domain. So I'll just go to the manage section. Yeah, so if I go to advanced DNS settings over here and scroll down where it says records, so I'm gonna add a new record, and record type is CNAME record. Now I have to put host and target to it. So the host value, I'll take it from the ACM itself. If we are not using Route 53, make sure to copy till here, right? And because it will add the domain by itself. So just copy till here, go ahead and paste it as host. Now I need to do the same for target value, for target as well. Copy everything till AWS. There is a dot at the end. Please do not include that in your copy. I've copied it and now I'm going to paste it over here and hit save changes. Once you do that, based on your particular use case, it could take few seconds to few minutes to few hours. So I'll go back over here and go to certificates and hit refresh. I'm going to pause the video and come back as soon as it is issued. All right, I have waited for a couple of minutes and it's been issued. It is over here. So we are good. Now I'm going to go back to my Cloudfront tab again. And so this is where we were to add the custom SSL certificate. I don't see anything. So I have to hit refresh. Once I do that, I see my certificate now. So I'll select it. And again, keep everything as default because by default it has chosen the recommended settings for us. So that's good. Now choose the default root object, because if you don't do that, you have to add index.html every time in the URL, which is what we don't want to do. Index.html, standard logging off and IPv6 on. Let it and create distribution. Oh, it says we have to choose the firewall. So let's choose it and keep everything default. I guess this was something that introduced recently because I didn't see this setting earlier. Anyways, so I have enabled it and hit create distribution. Okay, now it's gonna take 10 to 15 minutes because it's gonna deploy the edge location in multiple locations. So it's gonna take some time. All right, so after 5 minutes or so, now it's been deployed successfully. Now our website should be accessible on this domain, which is the CloudFront URL. Let me copy this and paste it in a new tab. And yes, it is there and it is secured with HTTPS. And this is what we wanted to do. Now let's go back to our AWS console and go to S3 bucket. I'm going to show you one more thing. So go to the bucket and then go to permissions. Scroll down a little bit and you will see a bucket policy created for you. We didn't create this policy, but it was created when we enabled the CloudFront distribution. Remember, it says, yes, update the bucket policy. There was an option there. So that option created this. What it is doing, it is allowing the access from this CloudFront origin access identity to S3 get object on this resource, which is a domain name. So that means the object inside the S3 bucket, this S3 bucket will only be accessible from this Cloud Origin Access identity. All right. Now this website is hosted on our CloudFront, and this is not accessible through our S3 bucket, which is we have already seen. Now the next point is to redirect it to our custom domain. I'm going to copy this from here and go to our Namecheap. Now I need to create two more CNAME records over here. Let's go ahead. First CNAME record, host should be www and target should be this without HTTPS, just the domain. I'll remove it and hit save. Okay. Now add one more record which will do the redirection, CNAME record, and host name will be techtutorials.with.piyush.com and target should be our CloudFront distribution. Please. Okay. Now go back to your web browser and go to techtutorials.with.piyush.com, which is my custom domain. Hit enter and it will take a couple of minutes or maybe, and after waiting for a few seconds, it worked. So now my website is accessible on my custom domain. This is what we needed. So let's quickly see how we can automate the CI/CD using code pipeline. So now I'm going to go ahead to my AWS console and look for code pipeline. Then I need to create a new pipeline by hitting over here, create pipeline, give it a name. Let's call it S3 deploy. Now we need to create a new service role, or if you have any existing service role, feel free to use that. Advanced setting, it says artifact store. That means the static files that are part of this website will be stored in a location in an S3 bucket. You can use an existing bucket or create a new bucket. So this first option will create a new bucket for you. And encryption option, let's keep it default. Hit next. Now source provider is where your files are located initially. So my files is in a GitHub repo. So I'm going to use GitHub version 1. Now I need to make a connection with GitHub. So hit over here, connect to GitHub and authorize and confirm. That's it. You have successfully configured the action with the provider. Now, if I see the drop down, I will see my repository over here and the branch is main. I only had one branch created. Now the change detection would be GitHub webhook. That means whenever there is a change in the file, it will trigger the pipeline and deploy the new files to the S3 bucket. Now build provider, I don't really have any build process over here because those are just the static files. So I'm gonna skip the build stage, right? Skip. Now the deploy provider should be S3. So let's go ahead and select Amazon S3. The bucket is this one, my custom website, S3 object key, then extract file before deploy. And let's see if it has any additional configuration. That's it. Hit next and review everything and then create a pipeline. Now it triggered the pipeline for you. Let's see. The git checkout is in progress, succeeded, and it deployed the file. Now, how do we know that it is completed successfully? So let me go ahead to my GitHub repo and make some changes. Go to index.html, edit the file, and let's make the changes over here. Call it one over here as well. One, commit the changes. And now it should auto trigger the pipeline because we have just committed the changes. Let's see. Go to pipeline. This was the older version. Oh, it just got completed. And the source was update index.html. And it detected the change as well. Like this was the change that we just made. So now let's go ahead and hit refresh on website. Changes is not there. The reason for that is because CloudFront caches the static content in its edge location for some time. Right? Once the cache is invalidated or purged, only then we will be able to see a refreshed content. If we were using any other CI/CD tool, then we could have added that invalidate cache option in that. But AWS Code Pipeline doesn't have this option. So what we can do is we can go to CloudFront and invalidate the cache manually. So go to CloudFront and then hit over here invalidation, create an invalidation, and over here we need to give the path. So let's do wildcard for all the files. Hit create invalidation. Okay, it says completed. So ideally our content should be refreshed now. So let's go back to our website and hit refresh. I still don't see the content. So I still don't see my content. Maybe something is wrong with the S3. Let's go ahead and have a look at the code pipeline. So let's go to our S3 bucket and see if our updated file is there or not. Okay, that's fine. Because in GitHub repository, we have this folder week1 in which there are two files. But as part of our upload that we did, we had index.html and all those files. So if you would like to access the file that just got uploaded with the second deployment, what you need to do is you need to append the exact folder name over here. So week1, then index.html. And here are our changes. So this was the update that I made in the HTML file, and it's been reflected correctly. As the directory structure was different from S3 bucket and the GitHub repo, that is why it did not replace the existing file, but it added the extra file on top of that. So make sure when you do this, the directory structure should be same. So that's it for this video. I hope you were able to follow me along and were able to complete the task successfully. If you are participating in this challenge, let me know in the comment section by writing 10 weeks of cloud ops, and feel free to join our Discord server, link in the description section. And there are a lot of fellow members in the community who are ready to help you out if you are stuck anywhere or need any help and assistance. So feel free to join that community. I'm also really active on that, so I'll try to respond as soon as possible to your queries. So that's it for this video. I will see you soon with the next video. Thank you so much for watching.